Hey everyone, back again with the R32, and today I wanted to talk about the best mods that you can make to turn an R32 GT-R into a usable everyday driver. So, not talking about radical modifications to make it fast, just what are the best changes you can make to turn it into something that's comfortable but quick, pretty to look at, really nice to drive on a daily basis. So last video I talked about keeping the car stock, and obviously I've changed a few things, but the key with making changes on the car that's appreciating in value now is that you can undo the changes and to keep any of the original parts, so that you can always put things back to original. So I've done that with the exterior. Everything here can be removed or replaced with its original part. Well, let's have a look around the car. So I think if you're going to use a car every day, you've also got to look at it. And the modifications I've made here, I think, really set this car off beautifully. The wheels, the carbon spoilers, the rear pods there. So they turn, what is a fairly ordinary looking 32 GT-R into a really hot looking machine. So that's just exterior mods, and you can, that's personal preference what you want to do. And in my last video I went around the car and showed you the various pieces and where they're from. But the number one change that you can make to these cars to make them streetable is suspension. If you've ever driven a standard R32 GT-R, you immediately notice two things. One is they sit very high standard, and the other is they ride really badly. Like they're so hard riding. So what I've done with this car is put the TN Super Street coilovers in it, and they come with electronic adjustment. So if you look at the car here, you have a control panel there, and you can adjust the ride, make it stiffer or softer front and rear. And I put them in, and I put them on nearly full soft, and this car rides fantastically. I mean, the roads around here are not that great, and not only is the car height, the height's adjustable, and you can get this kind of height, which I think is about perfect, but you get an awesomely good ride with it as well. That's the number one change. Number two change, standard GT-Rs are pretty boring in the exhaust as well. So I put the X-Force, full X-Force 3-inch stainless system on, and it gives perfect balance of sound without being too loud. You could drive this every day and not get a headache from the noise. So second part, which is really just to do with the sound of the car as well, and it does improve performance of course, is a pod filter. So I've put, the idea of a pod filter of course is to improve the airflow a little bit, but the other thing is that the pod filter just sounds really good. These are the HKS pod filters. I bought them second hand on eBay and then just changed the filters, filter elements, and they sound so good. They give you that real whoosh sound. So I haven't made any other changes to this engine other than the pod filters and exhaust, and frankly, do you really need more than about 400 horsepower on the street? I don't think so. So it's just perfect like that. Another change I've made here, which is just a stylistic change mostly, is the headlights. So these headlights are the N1 style. In fact, these are actually genuine N1 headlights. And the N1 has a fog lamp in the middle here, whereas the original has the projector here. Now it turns out that all the GT-Rs have the wiring for the fog lamp already built into the control panel here, so you can get that hooked up. You put the lights in. You might need to get someone to do that for you, but that's your fog lamps on there. And I think that these headlights just look so much better than the standard ones. It's much more aggressive, and it's very similar to the R34. So apart from the mods that I talked about outside, like the suspension and so on, which make this car just so much nicer to drive every day, and the sound, exhaust and the pod filter, the other really useful mod is the Nismo solid shifter for the gear stick, because the GT-R by default has a pretty long throw, and it's a bit imprecise as well. So for about $90 you can buy the solid shift kit, just replaces the shifter, and you get this lovely notchy, slightly shorter throw. It's only about 15% shorter, but oh man, it just makes such a difference to the driving. Really precise, and you get a nice little notch through the gears. It's lovely. And then I reckon the final change that you can make to make this enjoyable everyday driver is to actually modify yourself, which is to learn how to heel and toe down change. So heel and toe is just basically giving matching engine revs on the down changes, and I think the R32 GT-R is like one of the most rewarding cars to drive if you can heel and toe, because the engine just sounds fantastic. In fact, it probably sounds as good on a heel and toe down change as it sounds on full acceleration. So the idea with heel and toe is that as you brake, you also just touch the throttle with the side of your foot and just bring the revs up. You find that the gearbox is so much smoother then, and when you let the clutch out, the engine revs are pretty well matched to where they would be had you just pulled the clutch out with no heel and toe. So it's much smoother. It's smoother to drive, and then if you want to drive the car aggressively through the hills or whatever, it's much faster as well, because you can down change much more efficiently. And it just makes your whole driving a lot smoother. It does take quite a bit of time to learn how to heel and toe, and I would suggest that you start off just in a situation where you're sort of drifting towards the lights, and just use the throttle and down change without the brake first, and then as you gain a little bit more confidence, start to use the brake and try to get that same level of throttle to match the rev. So just get a feel for the gearbox and the engine and the rev matching first without using the brake. Another good tip is to start practicing with bare feet, and you'll find that you're basically just using your big toe on the brake pedal and the side of your foot for the throttle. If you're in bare feet, it's much easier to feel your way around where your feet need to be. So instead of the foot being directly on the brake, it's going to be just on a slight angle towards the throttle. Your heel will be closer to the throttle. Yeah, so as I say, it takes a while to learn, but it's very rewarding for your everyday driving, especially in a car like this, which just sounds amazing on the down change. Alright, so that's it today. I'll see you next time. Subscribe for more. See ya.